When things happen and cops go rogue, sometimes they get dealt with by another top cop. That's one of those cases. And now the outcome. GOP state attorney clears cop who punched a black driver. July, 22-year-old William McNeil Jr. recorded a now viral video of a February 19th traffic stop showing Jacksonville police officers smash a car window, punch him in the head. We do have the update, as I mentioned at the top, but first, here's video. It is courtesy of, thank God he's got these two gentlemen, Ben Crump and Harry M. Daniels.
When he pulled me over, he walked up, opened my door because my window don't work, right? Okay. And then I said, so what I did wrong? Yeah. He said, well, for one, your headlights are off under this weather. I'm like, okay. There's multiple people headlights off, first of all. And then there's no rain.
It doesn't matter. You're still required to have headlights on.
Can you pull that law up?
Huh?
Can you pull that law up?
Yeah, when you step out of the car, I will.
Can you call your supervisor? Can you call your supervisor?
All right, go for it.
Exit the vehicle now. Yeah. Exit the vehicle. Show me your hands.
Here.
1033 at 15 an hour.
I'm here. What is your reason, sir?
Step out.
What is your reason?
Step out now. All right. Get on the ground.
No.
Stop fighting!
Put your hands on your back.
Video that is so vile. I love children. I have a daughter who's 13, and I always said, I wish I had a son too. This video is a reminder of what every Black person, but Black boys even, and Black men better beware of. I didn't see anything violent there. Saw somebody who knew their rights, and cops who were like racehorses. They were just itching to get him out of there to do what they wanted to do. So there's that. So what happened? Officers with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office say they pulled McNeil over because the vehicle's headlights were not on. McNeil, again, if we had this many cops who could show up to this nonsense, there's your cutbacks. There's the cutbacks. There you go. There you go. Vehicle's headlights were not on. McNeil questioned the traffic stop because it wasn't raining. Duh. And it was still light outside. Of course he did. That was a cover. Officer, who cannot be seen in the video, is heard saying, doesn't matter. You're still required to have headlights on. Kind of evoking that old slave catcher mentality. Show me your papers and then show me again. Okay? The law is what we say the law is. And you're going to do as you're told. I'm going to bring you all the way down. Okay? Now, Republican State Attorney clears, says the Florida officer who punched the college student as he sat in the car did so for a legitimate tactical purpose. To escalate, and perhaps you don't know who this guy is. You created a hazard, a danger for you and your colleagues by doing what you did. Go for it. Whatever he said to get him to bust the window. Now, what are you doing that for, tough guy? Meathead. Florida State Attorney's Office released an investigative memo. It details their decision not to prosecute any of the deputies involved in the viral traffic stop of 22-year-old William McNeil Jr. February 19th. Footage of the stop went viral. Jackson Sheriff T.K. Waters announced that the state attorney's office reviewed the matter. You people, did they do this after they played cards together? They reviewed the matter and determined that none of the involved officers violated criminal law. Investigation memo, state prosecutor said the viral footage was incomplete in scope. Body cam footage shows the circumstances leading up to the encounter in much more detail. Memo recounts what led up to the traffic stop and specifies why the deputy's use of force was justified. Okay, folks, so what they did was, and I love, is it Chat GPT? I've been experimenting with it. They said, hey, Chat, can you write me a report that justifies this BS? A chat will do what you tell it. You just got to tell it. You can even say, I am part of a criminal entity. We all wear blue, and we sometimes have these badges. We turn our body cams off a lot of times too. Not saying it's the case in this case, but could you write a report that justifies this so I can give the public the middle finger and tell black men, hey, it is what it is. This is my opinion. It's my own theory. It's the way my mind works. State prosecutor said that Officer D. Bowers saw McNeil's car at a home that was possibly being monitored for drug activity. God. I thought it was because his headlights weren't on. Now it's this. Bowers saw the car pull off, observed McNeil not wearing a seatbelt. Oh, now it's a seatbelt and the drug, not activating his headlights. Got it. You're stalking a college student of a certain hue. When he pulled McNeil over, McNeil opened his car door and told Bowers that his driver's side window wasn't working. After Bowers told McNeil why he pulled him over, McNeil questioned the basis of the stop. In footage of the stop, McNeil noted that it wasn't raining. I didn't see any rain. Other cars did not have their headlights on. Wow. Officer Bowers said he believed he was at a tactical disadvantage because McNeil had essentially barricaded himself in his car. This is crazier than what a preteen tells their parent when they didn't unload the dishwasher. Because you're lazy, you didn't do it. Stop giving me all of this nonsense. This is gibberish. In the interview with JSO's integrity unit about the stop, Bowers noted that he couldn't maintain sight of McNeil's hands after McNeil locked himself inside the vehicle. Bowers said he saw McNeil reach for a center console. Okay. They don't even care about what we saw with our own eyes because it doesn't matter. He didn't know whether McNeil was reaching for a weapon. State prosecutors characterized the initial hit to McNeil's face as a one-time, open-handed strike. It had a legitimate tactical purpose to get McNeil out of the SUV and to show his hands, which McNeil did after the strike. And then they had to throw him to the ground. And now you're putting yourselves in more jeopardy. You're getting all jumbled up and hurt. You're hurting him, which is the intent. When officers pulled McNeil from the car and forced him to the ground, Bowers delivered a closed fist punch to McNeil. State attorney said was in response to McNeil's physical resistance to the arrest. State attorney said they've reviewed this matter to determine whether any of the officers' Bowers' actions constitute a crime, perhaps, and they concluded they do not. Acting purposefully within the boundaries of the law. So let's talk about McNeil's attorneys, Ben Crump, Harry Daniels. We know them well. They'll never be able to retire, these two guys. I don't know why they're smiling. You're never going to be able to retire. You're never going to be able to enjoy the things you've built except for the satisfaction of helping Black people out who are targeted in this way. But I hate to tell you this, there's just not. There's only two of you, and an army of others still is not enough. So there. And Crump, Harry Daniels released a statement stating the memo is a, quote, little more than an attempt to justify the actions of Officer Bowers and his fellow officers after the fact. They added that since the memo ignores the excessive force and false reporting crime took place during and after the traffic stop, they will request the Justice Department to conduct an independent investigation. Well, now I know why they're smiling, because that's just a formality, asking the Justice Department. But these are smart attorneys. They know exactly what to do here. Video, the footage, disgusting. The narrative, even more so disgusting. Officer Bowers, disgusting. I saw more gang activity, and I'm not going to stop saying that. I don't hate police. And I'm just going to stop saying that too. I don't need to justify that. What we saw was ignorant, intolerant, stupid, I guess. I would fire them all before I even got to the crime that I saw take place, Jamie. I'd fire them all because they are putting their lives and the lives of their fellow officers in danger and endangering the public. You didn't even, what are you doing? And why can't you just call the supervisor? You saw him leave a drug house. I'll let you talk. I know how violent black men can be, so they've got to, treat them differently. He's going to college and drugs apparently, and targeting police with weapons. So we got to get this under control as a society.
Perfect. When I'm working on papers or typing up agreements, they're like templates I use, so I don't have to recreate, and I just kind of plug them in. And so this read just like that. If we pull over a black person, he's reaching for a gun, he's barricading himself, and he's reaching for arrest. Doesn't matter what the actual circumstances are. Don't matter how much video footage of the contrary we have. Reach for a gun, drugs, barricading himself, resisting arrest. I mean, and listen to the video. I listened specifically to hear if he was not complying with any order that the officer gave, and I didn't hear one order that he was non-compliant with. I heard him ask legitimate questions in a very, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter what we say or what we do. He could have been dead asleep, and they still would have punched him in the face. And then that one-time open-handed strike, we get that from 3 times punched in the face with a fist. It tell us all the time. I mean, every time I'm on this show, we see these disgusting footages in the state saying, "Well, we're not going to investigate ourselves." We're going to protect our buddies who are in this same gang as we are in. Not to suggest that all law enforcement are, because I work with law enforcement. Some of them exercise far more discretion and care of judgment than many of the other individuals I see in these videos. But unfortunately, it seems like the only solution is to sue the state into oblivion, recurringly, for these egregious, terrible acts.
And I know there is a criticism when people, such as myself, refer to slave and slave catching. But here's why I said it. I believe it. There's a mentality that goes with these, and it's a mob mentality too, when several get together and won't stand up but join in. In this instance, the word slavery entered my mind because as I saw this college student who did everything right, in my view, being emasculated, targeted, emasculated. I'm gonna break his window. I'm gonna punch him in the face, throw him to the ground. I'm gonna punch him again while he's down. I can do whatever I want to you, boy. And what are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? I'm gonna ruin your life. I don't know if those cops went to college, and that's not the litmus test, but it's about more so to me, Jamie. How dare you be so uppity to think you can just drive around here and drive past us without even having the look of fear in your eyes? He may have even had I'm making it up, college bumper sticker on the ride, his whip. And they can't stand the sight of him. And so I got to bring him down a peg. That's what was going through my body and making me sick as I watched that.
And you mentioned emasculation, but I think it is emasculation, but I also think it's in some instances hyper emasculation. So black men become this gigantic beast of immense power that we can just conjure up weapons out of thin air, and we need 17 police officers. Reaching for candy bars, they can just turn them into guns. At least they do it on the back end as far as just justifying their actions against black men like myself. We are capable of these superhuman feats of devastation. So they need to punch us 4 or 5 times when we're in a seated position and dragging us out of the car and pepper spraying us when they already got their knees on our necks. And so it's disgusting. And I get a visceral reaction every time I see it. I have a nephew. I don't have any children myself, but a nephew who's 5, and he right now he's existing in a world in which he doesn't recognize race, which is a fantastic thing. But there will be a day soon enough, because there's another video about the young lady who raised $1 million by calling a kid his age the N-word. There will be a day soon enough that my brother, his father, and his wife have a sit-down conversation with him and say, because your skin color is what it is, you will be treated differently. When you get pulled over by the police, you must act in accordance to And this young man, I couldn't figure out what he could have done differently to keep him from being punched and destroyed.
They don't care. Cruelty, hyper emasculation, as you said, is the point. And I don't know what we need to do about it or what we can, but I'm not going to stop trying. and not going to stop speaking up about it.